Alright, here's the VC here coming back at you with another. It's about anything and everything. Nothing's off the table. And now I'm back at it for another day. We're going to go around the dial and kind of see what's going on today. And talk about some things, issues, and all that stuff. And then also bring some common sense to everything about it. So without further ado, let's just get to it, alright? And, before you do, listen to everything that I got going on, subscribe, hit the bell icon, whether you're on YouTube, or hit follow. Follow me on Rumble, and I place it in both places, whichever is more convenient for you, and then we go about it that way. Alright, because that's what it's all about. I'm just trying to have this nice content put out every day for you guys to play. Whether you listen or watch, either way, it's all good. Alright. Thank you, and so let's get to it here. Let's see here. Where do we begin? Look at this here. Obviously, we all know the talk about Snow White, new Disney Snow White movie, has been a disaster because, when you look at the headlines, right, it's all Snow White has turned into, fairy tales into a nightmare. No matter how you look at it, let's see here. Let's take a look at it real quick here. What's the latest they're being saying?
Check it out. At Planet Fitness, you can get free fitness training.
We're mixing it up.
We're not slowing down. I'm checking.
Whatever.
We have to keep talking about Snow White because Disney's Snow White remake, the box office has suffered a 66% drop in the second weekend of showing. So the film's flop could end up costing Disney millions of dollars. We know that the movie is currently one of the lowest IMDb rated movies of all time, receiving a 1.6 out of 10 rating. It's generated $143 million globally to date, which is well short of the $250 million that Disney has spent producing the film, and that doesn't even include the marketing expenses.
So let's see here. First week, they said something about 40 to 45 million in the first week. So if you're talking a 66% drop, that's more than half. That's 2/3 of that, from the 40 million they got a week ago. Man, that really, that's a huge drop off when you think about it. And they're not going to go anywhere close to recouping the 200 to 250 million spent making this movie. Plus, they had to do the reshoots and these advertisements and everything like that. It's going to be one of the worst Disney movies of all time. I think they said that one of the worst ones before for a Disney movie was it John Carter or whatever it's called? Never seen it, but I heard it wasn't that bad of a movie. It was just a Disney production that just just didn't put it together pretty well, and so that's why that was a disaster. Bad marketing and things like that. But that's a whole different time, whole different Disney for that John Carter movie. But here it's obviously just a bad movie based on early bets on what they were doing, right? Because the thing about it, you have Snow White, all right? Snow White. Oh, let me go here. All right. Does she look like a Snow White? Rachel Ziegler, right? No, they casted a Colombian-born actress to be Snow White. And it was blatantly done, purposely done because they wanted to kind of reimagine Snow White, just like how they did The Little Mermaid last year when they casted a black female, a light-skinned black female to be Little Mermaid, right? So, it's a woke thing, right? When you change characters, whether it's male to female or instead of a white woman, it's a different race, right? So they've done that with notable Disney characters, notable Marvel characters, as they've gone through this woke nonsense with Disney here. And it's just really, to say it nicely, fuck things up, all right? It just fucks everything up. Because you take a classic cartoon, with Little Mermaid, right? Ariel, obviously she was like a white girl, red hair, and boom, right? They changed it. Snow White, it's supposed to be a female that's born with skin as light as snow or something like that. Whatever they say in the fairy tale, classic fairy tale. So now you change the casting to get like a Latina actress, all right, and now that changes it. Okay, they've done that with characters all the time in these classic stories and Marvel movies and stuff. All right. Then they decided they wanted to cast, instead of 7 dwarves, right? Snow White and the 7 dwarves. 7, I don't even know, what do you call those people? It was like a ragtag crew. 7, Snow White and the 7, misfits, the crews, right? Yeah, all these different heights, races, genders, all these representations of what these 7 people were supposed to be, and that also changed from 7 dwarves to that, so that gave it a bad look. So now you completely went off the script, all right, with having Ziegler, and then you have these 7 dudes. It might as well have been called Snow White and the 7 cronies or something, and so you have that, right? And so you fuck things up that way. And then you further change the story, because instead of having this prince, I'm surprised they didn't change the Wicked Witch. So instead of having a prince, it was a male representation there. And rather than a classic love story where the male comes in, the prince to save Snow White from poison, Apple from the Wicked Witch, right? No. They had to change it, because they're trying to make Snow White a very strong character, and they changed the whole story, the whole outcome. So why was there even a witch in the first place then, right? And I'm surprised they should have just made the witch a guy or something, or something else, just because they're so woke and they fucked up the whole story. That's why this thing was a disaster, and that's why this thing bombed in the box office. So let's see what else they got to say here.
So, Angela, what's your assessment of how this is going? It doesn't look good. It just feels like Disney has made such a big mistake turning the movie so woke.
It's been heralded as Disney turning its fairy tale into a nightmare. That Kevin Marr in the Times in the UK said this is the film. His review was brilliant. I invite you to go and seek it out, because it's funny. It's the funniest thing I've read. But he says that Disney has basically destroyed its crown jewel for multiple reasons, not just Rachel Zegler and, of course, her being particularly woke and saying, I will not be saved by a prince, which, in some respects, fair enough. But on every level, this is apparently, I saw one review that said, it's jumped the shark, brackets, warning, dangerous animal. It's so tame, this movie, and it's such a beautiful movie, so central to the Disney brand. And I thought it was also interesting that the producer's son came out and just basically said, you've ruined, to Rachel Zegler, you've ruined my dad's movie, but not only that, you've really ruined what could have been a brilliant experience for the huge cast and crew that have worked on this movie, and that this is their livelihood. So all very well to speak up about your woke beliefs, but the knock-on effect for real people is enormous.
Absolutely. Angela Mullard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Here's a hot take.
Yeah, so that's what you got there, right? But still, all right, no one will get fired. No changes will be made in Disney. They're going to keep going with their woke nonsense. And, hey, we'll just keep moving forward. All right, so, yeah, it's just what it is. Funny how that is. Let's see here. They've been doing this takedown protest across the U.S. All right, and Tesla funds fascists. All right, yeah. California wildfires left behind 9 billion pounds of toxic ash and debris. Wow, that's so against everything that California has worked so hard to keep the air clean and environmental, the environment safe, from all the toxic stuff that goes in the ground, into the air, and everything, right? Green New Deal, all this stuff. But wait a second here. They forgot one thing. They didn't have careful forest management because they didn't want to cut the brush, disrupt the wildlife, disrupt all the trees and plants and all that stuff, and just let it all just overgrow, right? They didn't do that. They didn't fill the reservoir full of water just in case you might have a bad day in the LA area, which they did have a bad day, right? Bad several days, and destroyed the Palisades area and the Eaton area and all that stuff, various parts of LA County, west and north. And now in the tune of 9 billion pounds of toxic ash and debris. What are they going to do with all that, right? I mean, it's crazy stuff. And guess what, all right? It's no secret. All this time and all this bureaucratic bullshit, the LA has only been approved for 4 building permits out of the thousands of homes that have been destroyed and the rubble that's been left behind. Only 4 permits have been granted so far. That's a long time, and we're in April 1st now. All right, so it's funny stuff. This is no April Fool's joke either. Just funny shit though. And crazy though. All right, man, funny stuff. Let's see what else we got going on over here. Of course, we have government cracks down on taxpayer-funded mortgages for illegal immigrants. Well, duh, it should be. Like, why
the
should
federal government is...
Like, how can they be issued a mortgage if they have no credit, no money? So they're just giving the mortgages. Just say that I'm illegal and here you go, we'll give you a mortgage. That's what it sounds like. Because how else are they getting it? Because back in 08, or not 08, before the 08 crash, right, going into that, right, for the, I don't know, maybe say early 2000, building up to the downfall in 08 of the mortgage industry, they got to the point of, it was a hot market for selling homes, that they started to just kind of allow people to buy, even when they technically shouldn't qualify to buy a home. And they did all these stupid things with interest-only loans and all that, which, when you give it 5 years, usually it's interest only for the first, 5 years or so. After that, those terms are up. That's when the principal kicks in, and then it's a rude awakening, right? And so that's what happened. It was a rude awakening everywhere because all these people that shouldn't have qualified to buy a home were in a home now, and the rude awakening came, forced everybody out, and then it was a mortgage meltdown, right? You had all these homes in the market, flooded the market, and at the same time, it dropped. They tanked the prices of homes. It went from, I think it dropped the price, 60%, 60-70%. And I was able to buy a home taking advantage of that situation. My first time buying a home, because I was watching, and I was like, there's no way I would buy a home during this time. No way. It was so ballooned in pricing at the time. I was like, there is no way I'm buying a home. I'm just going to wait it out. Patiently waited it out. And then, bought a home after that. Rest is history. I'm in my second home now. I lived in that first home, let's see, 8 years? No, 7 years. I lived in that home for 7 years, sold it at a profit, used that as a down payment on the profit part of it, used that as a payment to buy my next home, which was a bigger home, bigger lot, bigger home. Everything was bigger. I went from a decent size, 4-bedroom, typical 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, nice, decent property. But imagine selling all that to essentially almost double the size of your home, and went from, I don't know how much the square footage was on my previous lot, but my land went to, now it's 3/4 of an acre of land I'm on right now, which is a decent size of land, to go along with double the size of my original home, 4-bedroom home, to now a 6-bedroom home. So good times, But yeah, but how are these people getting homes? All right, let's see.
Cracking down on taxpayer-funded mortgages for illegal immigrants that were allowed during the Biden administration through the Department of Urban and Housing Development. Joining us now to discuss this and more headlines on the Hill is Washington insider Armstrong Williams. Good morning to you, sir. Happy Monday.
Good morning.
Yeah,
last week, HUD Secretary Scott Turner announced that the agency had terminated FHA mortgages for illegal immigrants, saying, quote, "At HUD, we only serve 1 out of 4 Americans that we should be serving, and that has to come to an end. And so we're not only making it a priority, but we are making that our only priority, that American citizens will benefit from hardworking American taxpayer dollars." Armstrong, HUD also says it's really unclear.
Wow, so they're only serving 1 out of 4 Americans while they're serving all these illegals. Well, in my first home, I had to get an FHA because I, was able to just have enough to put a down payment with an FHA mortgage, So instead of getting like the traditional 20% down payment, FHA gives you, all you need is just a small down payment. And then you have mortgage insurance for the first, I forget how long, I think first 2 years, and then after that it gets removed if you show responsibility of paying, which I did, and went from there.
Just how many illegal immigrants as well as non-permanent residents obtain these FHA-backed loans. What do you make of this?
Yeah, how the hell
Just
do you
imagine
get that?
coming to this country with nothing, and all of a sudden you're illegal, and you got your mortgages guaranteed, you got the down payment, you take the risk. And this nonsense that they're going to pay them back. How are you going to pay someone back if you're not working? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This should have ended long ago. But these are the kinds of things that the Biden and Harris administration did in the dark that's finally coming to light. And that is ending as it should.
And that is what HUD's doing right now. Anti-Israel activist and Columbia University grad Mahmoud Khalil is fighting Armstrong for his release from federal custody. But you say the government's case against him just got stronger after it was revealed he lied on his visa application. Tell us more about this.
He lied about many things. He was a part of UNRWA. Remember UNRWA that was funded by us and many others? And they were literally helping to plan, attack, and were part of the October 7th attack on Israel. And guess who was at the center of it? He was the political action guy, Mr. Mahmoud Khalil himself.
And we also stopped funding as a result of UNRWA's connection to a lot of the terrorists, Hamas terrorists. So we stopped all funding here in America as a result of that report when that came out about UNRWA. Now, speaking of Columbia University, a group of lawmakers, Armstrong, is asking the administration to investigate anti-Israel groups protesting on college campuses after it was revealed in a lawsuit they had prior knowledge of the terror attack on October 7th. What do you know about this?
This is where it gets really crazy about Mahmoud Khalil. The victims filed a lawsuit saying that these organizations, led by Mahmoud Khalil, who organized it and issued threats, knew beforehand that October 7th was going to happen in 2023. They prepared for it. And not only was he organizing on Columbia campus, they were organizing all across the country. talk about UNRWA is one thing that we talked about seconds ago, but imagine this guy being at the center of knowing that October 7th was coming and at the dead center of planning it. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's why much has gone silent on Mahmoud Khalil right now, because listen, the judge has a lot to decide in his hearing because he has a lot of evidence that he probably had before. But if he didn't, he has it now.
And there is some big news this morning about Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, as well as Vladimir Zelensky. We know Trump's upset with Putin, now threatening secondary tariffs on all oil coming out of Russia. How will this end with Russia, ultimately? What do you think?
They'll work it out.
The president is criticizing Putin because he attacked Zelensky's credibility. And someone would say, well, that's exactly what you did, Mr. President. Listen, the president has a very good relationship with Putin, which is stated, but he wants a deal. He wants to end this conflict in Ukraine. And one day he's lashing out at Zelensky, the next day he's lashing out at Putin. But the bottom line, and even Zelensky is trying to pull out the mineral oil deal, which he claimed he was committed to. So listen, it is all over the place. We have no idea where this is going, but we know one thing for sure. Donald Trump's agenda is one agenda only. Bring a conclusion and end this war conflict between Ukraine and Russia.
Washington Insider, Armstrong.
Wow, some crazy stuff here. Wow, so I talked about this whole lawsuit thing against Khalil and the Columbia protesters and all that. And at first I kind of brushed it off because I was thinking, how the hell are you going to sue that based on they already knew in advance that these attacks were going to be coming? But now that they're talking about it, it got me thinking, damn, you know, with all these planned protests and all that stuff, they seem to kind of known that this thing was coming. The October 7th attack. So maybe there is some legs on it after all, because I talked about it the other day and I was thinking, man, I don't know if there's going to be legs to that, but after them talking about it, I think they're seriously going to have legs to that lawsuit. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, dudes should be deported because if you want to do all that bullshit, cause unrest, protest, and talk shit about America, then you can do all that shit wherever you come from and do it all there. All right, so you know, if you want to continue to do your bullshit in your own home country, then go ahead. You can still organize and do all that shit. Just don't do it here. All right. I mean, if you're so, you know, anti-American, then don't be here. Simple as that. Just get the fuck out of here. I mean, it's so simple. All right. So yeah. So fuck Khalil too. All right. That's a good one. Musk launching Doge-led investigations of strangely wealthy Democrats. True, because Democrats in office typically step out of office or promote or whatever into different positions, and they strangely do get wealthy, right, from so-called investments and all these other sort of deals that it looks like it's starting to get revealed as to how they get all this money, right? Because you see all these pork projects and all these doomed and failed projects and investments into, let's just say, certain ideas. Like, for example, how many pockets did the 24 billion homeless program that no one seems to know where that money went in California, how many pockets did that feed to the politicians? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much of that did Gavin Newsom get? How much of that did any other politicians involved in that deal get? Right? How many pockets got, you know, fed with the, you know, high-speed rail to nowhere, right? As they have not laid one track since its inception. But yeah, they have all these different things built, but not one track laid. I mean, just saying. And the list goes on, right? NGOs in California. Who's getting fed the funds, right? And of course, they're Democrat tied. So, you know, you got to ask all these questions, right? And you got to follow the money. And all the money shows that Democrats, man, they got their hand in the cookie jar, and they're just trying to take as much as they can, and it's really proven so. And when Doge comes in and finds out, right, Trump and Doge find out, they're doing all these cuts to all these different programs, or even straight up disbanding programs or departments. It's pissing off the Democrats because now all that grift that they've been leeching on is gone, right? Or will be gone. So it's just one of those things that, you think about, hey, Republicans are finding out about all these programs that are just more like a grift for all these Democrats to just get wealthy off of. Shit, I want a piece of that too then, before you close it all down. Alright, so it's funny stuff, what is going on. Alright, because, it's, when you look at how the government fed money to the illegals for all these things, I mean, don't you think that the Democrats that are tied to that whole thing are getting some of that nice grift money too? Come on. All right, people, we got to wake up. You got to see what's going on here. All right. So, with that, let's see here. What else is there? Tesla trading surge on your side. Oh, okay. Yeah, all this Tesla stuff that's been happening. One thing that hasn't been talked about enough is that because of all these things that are happening to Tesla, the insurance rates have gone up. All right. So there's a problem with that these insurance rates are going up on Teslas. And that's sad because it's no fault of Tesla or Elon, but just the fault of the people that's destroying Teslas, that's causing a liability with all these Teslas, that is raising the rates of the insurance, because now it's kind of raising the risk of owning Teslas for the possibility of them getting torched, destroyed, all that stuff, when you really think about it. And I can see why insurance companies are raising rates on Teslas, because the increasing risk of what's happening with all that. So, yeah, it's just crazy when you think about it. And I think it makes people not want to own Tesla because the rates are going up, which is wrong. And funny at the same time, because they are their own self-destruction, as in the people that bought into the Green New Deal, the Teslas, and all of a sudden turned their backs because Elon went in a different direction in terms of just life. And all of a sudden, the Green New Deal is no good, right? They're the reason for the rates have gone up. All right, because you're doing it to your own people. People are morons, all right? And they don't see beyond what's affecting us, all right? The reason why things are happening in the current government, because the last administration was terrible. And so far, we've been in cleanup mode before anything. So that's what it is, cleanup mode, and go from there. All right. And so with that, I'll leave it at that. Something to think about. If I do own a Tesla or want to own a Tesla, I do want to get a Cybertruck. I've been thinking about it more and more, that if I was to ever own one, it would be a Cybertruck, right? But realistically, I wouldn't want one just because it costs a lot. But realistically, I could buy one, believe it or not. I know some of you guys are thinking, man, it's hard to believe. But yes, believe it. I could buy one if I wanted to. I do have the funds to buy it if I wanted to. But why would I want to do that? Just saying. Anyhow, that's the latest here. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, boom, or follow me on boom on Rumble. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.